This time today we have Celeritas. I still forgot custom. Okay, this is my comparison of all premium versions of the RS3M 2020. Except custom, if you count that. I know it took some time for me to make this video, but I'm finally doing it. And I'm kind of excited. Now in this comparison, I'm gonna give you some descriptions on each of these cubes, and hopefully my descriptions could help you choose which one you would want. So, Mega RS3M 2020 comparison. Let's do this before the 2021 version comes out. So, the first version I had was the Angstrom version. Now, the main difference among these cubes are its feel. And so what makes the Angstrom version different is that the lubes give it a more silky smooth feel, and it's as if it's lubed with a more thinner lube than a thicker lube. Along with this, I kind of feel like the lubes, because it makes the cube feel quite glidey, it kind of makes the cube feel more compact. And I'm not exactly sure if it's a good or bad thing, because the compact feel makes it feel pretty satisfying, but I almost feel like I need to be more accurate with my turns. Just barely though, so yeah. And finally, it's speed. And honestly, I kind of feel like the speed on this cube is pretty average. Of course it'll be slow out of the box, but after you break it in, yeah, it's pretty average. But now that I've had this for a few months, it has sped up pretty significantly, but not by too much. Next for me was the Mystic version, and now talking about its feel, it has quite a bit of a mix between a silky smooth feeling like the Angstrom, but also a bit of a papery smooth feeling. Now this Mystic version also shares another property that the Angstrom version had, which was its compact feel. But unlike the Angstrom version, this cube has much more friction and much less glide in its turns. And somehow, because of the friction, I don't feel like I need to make my turns more accurate, because the friction decreases the amount of overshooting. And now finally with speed, and if anything, this cube is like a slowed down version of the Angstrom. I've heard that some people have had problems with the cube speed, and what I have to say to that is, you really need to spend time breaking this cube in. And even when this cube is fairly broken in, I'd still say that this cube is one of the slowest of the bunch, which, let me tell you, is not a bad thing. So yeah.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Next was the Max version, and to start it off, I'd say it is similar to the Mystic version in terms of its feel, because it also has a papery smooth feeling. But in contrast, unlike the previous two, this cube feels a little less compact, and the pieces feel a bit more free. And because of this, I feel like my turns can be a little more inaccurate and free, which I like. Now, when I unboxed this cube, it did feel pretty gummy and slow, but like the Mystic version, this cube does speed up to a more acceptable speed, and that's it for the Max version. Next was the Proshop version, and this is probably the least interesting, I guess. Now, to describe the feel, its feel is a little more on the silky smooth side, and the loops seem to feel more thick rather than thin, and because it's more thick, the cube seems to feel just slightly more draggy, which is pretty similar to the maxed and mystic versions, but with a slightly more silky smooth feeling. Now, finally, with the Celeritas version. I remember, right as I unboxed this cube, I was surprised on how fast it was straight out of the box. It wasn't too fast or too slow, but actually just the right speed, and again, just out of the box. Because of this, however, I was a little curious if it would speed up after break-in, and that it might be too fast, but that was luckily not the case. Now, let's talk about the feeling on this cube, and it's pretty interesting. The lubes, maybe, sure, it makes the cube feel a bit papery smooth in a way, but nowhere near like the other cubes, and it's almost as if it's smooth in a dry way. Now for me, it's I don't mind it, it's just a feel, and yeah, that's it for the Celeritas version. So, those were my quick rundowns on each of these cubes. And now I'm gonna rank these cubes based on like certain characteristics. And the important characteristics that I think should be compared among these cubes are 1, feel, and 2, controllability. And along with the controllability, I'll also address speed maybe, and also stability. But just those two, feel and controllability. And I think I'll have an easier time choosing which one I like based on feel. Yeah, so I'll start 5th place right here and 1st place right here. So, okay, so I think in 5th place, I think I'm gonna go with the Celeritas version. And that's because it makes the cube feel glidey, right? But it's kind of in a dry way. How the lubes work in this cube, I don't think the Celeritas version produces like the best feel, and so I'm gonna put that in 5th place. I think for 4th place, I'm gonna choose the Proshop version. It makes the cube feel slightly silky smooth, but it's just Proshop. It's just regular silicone loops. It's not much of an interesting feel. So yeah, I think the Proshop version will be in 4th place. Okay, I think for 3rd place, I'm gonna put the Max version, and it is a good feeling, just letting you know. It's like it's pretty soft. At the same time, it kind of feels kind of dry, but it's not like a unsatisfying kind of dry. And so that's basically a rundown on how it feels, and I'll put that in 3rd place. Now, it's between the Angstrom and the Mystic. I think in 2nd place, I'm going to put the Mystic version. It has like, what I like about it is that it's just it's very soft, And at the same time, it's like very clean. Like the feeling is just kind of clean. If that makes sense, I don't know if that's a good way to describe its feel. But yeah, it's just very soft. That's what I like about it. And now with the Angstrom version, I think I'm going to put that in 1st place because it's just pretty silky smooth. Like the Angstrom loops make the pieces feel silky smooth, and I kind of like that. But I don't know. Maybe these could be, these can be switched. I like, you know what? I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna put the Mystic version in 2nd place. I meant Angstrom. Yeah. And the Mystic in 1st place, because I'm thinking to myself, if I want a cube to fiddle with, just for like its feel, I think I would go for the Mystic, just because it feels a bit nicer. I don't know, but yeah, I think I would go for the Mystic, and so I think Mystic is in 1st place, Angstrom 2nd, Max 3rd, Proshop 4th, and Celeritas 5th. And yeah, now let's transition to the topic of controllability. This one is kind of hard for me because although these are different setup cubes, the lubes have a little less of an impact on its controllability than it does on its feel, and it still does have an influence. I should say that when I rank these cubes, I'd say probably even 5th place would still be controllable. Like, it's not too big of a difference between 5th place and 1st place. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Now, in 5th place, I think I'm gonna put the Celeritas version in 5th place. Again, pretty controllable, right? It's pretty glidey, and what I don't like about it is somehow the lubes in this cube, I think it's the lubes, but it makes the cube's magnets feel weaker, which I don't like, because the fact that this cube is a fairly fast and glidey cube, I kind of want like decently strong magnets. Yeah, somehow the magnets are weaker, or feel weaker at least. And now for 4th place, this one's hard because, yeah, because I find this hard, I'm just gonna base it now on like the times I get on these cubes. Based on like how well I perform on these cubes, I'm gonna give 4th place to the Angstrom version. It's a pretty controllable cube, and sometimes I feel like it feels very controllable, especially like, I guess when I'm doing solves in this cube, somehow I don't get as good times as I do on these cubes, the Mystic, Max, and Proshop. Because of that, I'm putting it in 4th place. But for 3rd place, I think I'm gonna give it to, you know what? I think I'm gonna give it to the Mystic version, yeah. Based on my performance recently, I've been doing a bit better on these two cubes. It's kind of similar to the Angstrom because it has a compact feeling, but it's a slow cube. And I know in the overview I said it's not a bad thing, but I guess actually now that I think about it, it can be. Because I kind of feel like I'm underturning sometimes, which I don't want. So I think I'm going to give it to the Mystic. And now for 2nd, I think this is easier now. I think for 2nd, I'm going to give it to the Max version. Really, it's because I have better results on this cube, but to describe the controllability, it's pretty free-flowing, and it's not compact compared to the Angstrom and Mystic. It's soft, like the Mystic, but less so than the Mystic one is. And so, yeah. And yeah, so I think the Max should be in 2nd place. And now, of course, I think the Proshop version will be in 1st place. And, you know, at first, when I got this cube, it wasn't really that special, you know? But, I don't know. What? I guess I've just been concentrating too much on the feel. But, you know, recently I've been doing some solves on this cube. I actually got a PB average of 100 not too long ago. It's funny how I didn't find it that interesting at first, but I'm actually performing kind of the best on this cube. But I kind of feel like the Proshop version has quite some drag to it, because I've actually found it to be a pretty good thing. I don't know, I just feel like the drag that the cube has kind of like works well with the free-flowing form of this cube. And so this is the ranking. Proshop in 1st, 2nd is Max, 3rd is Mystic, 4th Angstrom, and 5th Celeritas. That's the ranking for the controllability category. But now, let's just get that out of the way, and let me tell you which one I just like the most, right? I think Celeritas is also 5th. It's really not that bad, but I just don't like it as much. I think I'm gonna put the Angstrom in 4th. Then I think, you know what, I'm gonna move it. Proshop 4th, Angstrom 3rd, maybe, yeah, Max 2nd, and Mystic will be 1st. And I choose this just based on like how I enjoy the cubes. I just really like the Mystic, mostly because of its feel. It's just very soft, right? So yeah, that is my ranking for which one I like the most. If I were to only use one of these cubes, right, I think I would go for the Proshop version, because I get the best times on it, really. I think I have my PB AO100 on this cube. I think the Proshop will be my main. I think so, yeah. Ooh. So yeah, I think that's gonna conclude the video. And finally, it's done. And yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at KADtheCuber. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Stay tuned for my custom video on it, because I haven't done that yet. Bye.